Welcome guys to day 34. As promised, another daily video and another crafting video. So we started off with trying to figure out what we want to craft, what's interesting. If you didn't know, low level gloves found after you've just leveled up, you've gone through town, you get them from the vendors. They can only have 3 sockets because they're super low level. If you use an orb of binding, they can have 4 sockets, but they keep their low level requirement. So when I'm crafting, I'm always trying to make something interesting, or something that might be useful for myself. Basically, if I can avoid PoE trade, that's ideal. So we started to look at some different things. We started to look at leveling bows. We were using aberrant fossils, which gives a bow despair on hit. We were looking at using then some chaos based fossils on gloves as well, which gives chaos damage to attacks to gloves. So already rolling out, you could have a despair on hit bow and some high chaos damage gloves at level 1. They weren't really working, not the best, so we tried Scorched and Aberrant, and we made some really nice gloves that basically took our DPS from like 30 to about 130, and it went from, you know, you could see the health bar of the monster moving to just straight one-shot and stuff. So leveling gloves are a thing I might craft. After we crafted a few gloves and had a look at a few things, we figured out, well, the chat figured out we wanted to try and make some belts. So I kind of showed them how you would craft for profit. Personally, I'm just crafting for fun. I don't really care about the profit, but I looked at the base, what rolls sell for what. So it's 60 chaos for two elemental rolls, life, and a half decent res. It's about an exalt for ones with all 3 elemental rolls and a good life. And in order, fire was the most popular, then it was lightning, then it was cold. So cold is the least popular. So we went for fire, and we hit basically these resonators on the eye level 86 stingents. They didn't turn out to be anything good at all, and each craft costs around 8 to 9 chaos. So if you were crafting purely for profit, each attempt is about 8 to 9 chaos, and if you get a decent one, you make about an exalt or 2. These were no good, so we just decided to go again, and we did 6 more. This one was a little bit better. That's kind of what you're looking for, an elemental roll and fire damage. This second one was better, 2 reses, life, and 2 rolls. This one was absolutely useless and really nothing too great. Again, a little bit better, wed, 2 reses, but no slot for life, or alternatively adding wed onto it, which makes it not very sellable. This was probably the best one. It's got about 50 wed, a couple of resists, and that's really what we ended up with, is mediocre belts. So we carried on, we spammed a few more, a little bit more, and these went a little bit better. 97 life, double Ellie, and a res. Apologies for the cough. This one was probably the best one. 50 wed, 24 fire damage, and 2 reses with low level life. Now, after crafting these, we figured this was definitely a viable option for crafting for profit. 9C a go, although frustrating to buy the fossils, it's probably your best bet at making profit. Stingent, especially fire stingents, sell a lot. The cold ones are difficult to sell. These are the final, I guess, outcomes. But yeah, the cold ones are difficult to sell for the reason that you end up with elemental damage to attacks, and what builds are using cold damage to attacks, not as many as say fire or lightning. So we decided that's why we didn't go for cold based things. So after we did a few belts, and it was okay, we made a couple of exalts. One sold for an exalt, the other will probably, those ones that are up for 3 to 2 exalts, they'll probably sell for 1. Ideally they'll sell, but maybe not because it's end of league. We ended up buying a pair of these gloves, which we could instantly relist for 115C. If you didn't quite catch the clip, that was basically, I tried to buy eye level 75 and the guy was selling eye level 80. And we quickly crafted them for the Mathol Ice Nova build, which he recently did. Faster casting, life, and cast speed when you focus. That roughly sells for an exalt, and even if they don't, you could just flip the base. So glove crafting is definitely an option that we're considering. I ended up making a weird style Shaper Amulet. Obviously increased attributes because I'm trying to roll a Hands of Wisdom Amulet. Energy Shield's nice, and I got level 220 level 22 discipline, which you then put energy shield on it, and it probably sells for an exalt or two, but to be honest, the base is worth an exalt. So we decided to not craft an amulet because the base was so expensive that it was difficult to craft something for profit. We attempted some wands with some metallic prismatic, and we ended up with this chaos, triple tier 1 chaos wand with damage per int, which was odd. Next we moved on to some larger crafts. Now a glyphic fossil, if you don't know, a glyphic fossil can have any corrupted essence modifier. So it could be an essence of horror, an essence of hysteria, a delirium. And they cost about 100 chaos. So the idea was you do glyphic, scorched, pristine, and sanctified for the higher life rolls. Now there are 4 potential essence modifiers, so it's a 1 in 4 to turn into a horror, and then ideally you hit a horror mod and it has the fire delve prefix -9 to fire res. So you end up with a righteous fire helmet that normally can only have socketed gems have elemental damage, or has the delve prefix, but with this combination, if you get lucky, you could end up with a horror mod and a delve prefix at the same time, which would make the helmet insanely worth. Obviously it costs 100 and I'd say at least 150c an attempt, and as well there's a guy that owns pretty much every glyphic fossil in the game, so I already had one drop, so I've basically got 1 attempt at this. So that's what we're going for. We're trying to hit a horror mod with a delve prefix. It's a 1 in 4 chance to hit horror, then you've got to hit good rolls, and then you've got to hit a delve prefix. The odds are pretty slim, which is why it's so expensive. So we hit the helmet, and I was pretty shocked. It actually hit the horror mod. That's right, it hit the horror mod, but it did not hit the delve prefix. So unfortunately, it was just the same as using an essence of horror, and a bad one at that. But that's the closest I've come this league to creating an item that was actually gonna be pretty frigging crazy. If I'd have hit elemental damage and -9 to fire res, that would have been an absolutely nutty helmet. So even though I didn't manage to hit it, I really enjoyed just trying a larger craft, and I think it's something I'm going to do in future. As you can see, we were so close to greatness. After trying belts and larger crafts and not really getting too much worth, we attempted a claw. So I got an Imperial Claw, I 30 qualied it, and about 200 to 300 alterations into the claw. Nothing was going on. We're trying to roll a big fizz claw. Because I've always liked the idea of having a high fizz claw, but I would never spend the exalts to make one. We hit a tempered there, didn't really do much, and then bang, there it is, flaring Imperial Claw of Celebration. I was like, holy shit, like now that's nutty. So you have 2 options. You can imprint this, Regal, imprint Regal until you hit Merciless, and at that point you're going to end up with basically a Mirror Claw. So that is an option to do. 100% that's an option to do. However, after deciding and weighing it up, I wanted to save my currency for crafting videos, so I don't want to burn through it all trying to make a mirror item and then failing, because realistically, hitting a super good Regal is going to take many attempts. The imprint beast is 120 chaos. Then you've also, you know, got to try mod it after that. So what we did was we imprinted it. There is the imprint of the claw. We annul. We actually knocked off the mana, which was great. And then we multi-modded it to finish. However, if you look at the time, it's 4:36 in the morning. I've been up streaming for a long time. I was chatting to some people in the stream, and we were trying to figure out what should we do. In the meantime, I sold a scepter. That's got minion damage on it from the temple. That's all it had, 90 minion damage, and apparently that sells. So eventually, after some consideration, I didn't want to make it a mirror claw or attempt it. I just wanted to finish the multi-mod. So here I am putting Exalt crafts on. So I've put the Exalt crit on, the Exalt fizz damage, and then I realised, you can see my face, I didn't actually press multi-mod, so I just vended basically 3 Exalts. So this claw is probably worth 5 to 7 Exalts when finished. Maybe even less because there's a lot of claws. But I made it quickly, so it would have been profit. However, I actually vended 3 exalts, so I lost all my profit. But there is the finished claw, 443 DPS. We were so close to creating a good helmet. We made a nice claw, and I think next I'm going to attempt to make a Mathel crit sword. So tune in for that video. That probably will be up whenever I've finished it, or yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed the crafting video. I've not done one before. There is the completed claw. We also made a few searching eye jewels that sold for like 20c, but we're going to be spending the remaining currency trying to craft some nice stuff, and that is our first one. We've got the claw, we've got the amulet that I made for my guy, the Hands of Wisdom amulet, and I've always got the imprint if I wanted to go and make this a mirror claw. I guess the option is there. It says it's worth about 7 exalts. I'm not so sure, but hopefully you've been enjoying the daily content. I've probably got a better idea of how to make a crafting video for the next episode. This one was a little rushed, or not rushed. It wasn't well prepared because I've never done an editing video, so it's hard to see how it will come out. But I think I've got a better layout next time, so it doesn't seem so rushed. So hopefully you enjoy it and you stick with the